Ramos hits one very high and very deep. Carroll at the wall, and it is out of here. And the Giants take the lead.
Now, back to Willard and Dibs on 95.7 The Game.
Also known as Kipe wasn't sure. Kipe wasn't sure on that one, which I appreciate. That's a lot better than doing the John Sterling.
What did I do wrong?
It is gone, but caught.
Yeah.
That was a fun call.
It is gone, but caught.
Yeah, there you go. It'll never not be funny. Very high and very deep, as Kipe said. Those are good to go together off of a Giants bat. Very high and very deep. And Elliot Ramos is playing very good baseball.
And very needed to get that win over Arizona, not only for the head-to-head wild card factor, but, man, you needed a palate cleanser. That was a nice piece of pickled ginger after a spicy piece of sushi as you get ready for the next bite. You needed a palate cleanser.
All right, should we do Bomel last night versus Bomel today?
Yeah, I would love that.
All right.
Probably rocking is down about 88%.
I would think. So here's Bomel last night.
When you're going through losing streaks, at least you fight. For the most part, we have. That was an awful game. And we made it interesting at the end, but didn't play well. Made Harry get multiple outs. We had a starter on the ropes every inning. Couldn't cash in. It's a bad game and a bad stretch by us.
What do you think stood out worst?
We just looked like we were running around in quicksand for a while. So, it is what it is. But doesn't feel very good when you play like that.
Do you mean defensively?
Everything. The at bat, we have guy on the ropes every inning and can't cash in but a couple of runs. It's just a bad game.
Was that a message that was relayed to the team?
I'm not going to talk about what I say to anybody.
All right, that's Bomel last night. He was asked if that rant led to the way that they played today.
I get nothing to do with me. We just had good at-bats today. So, we've been really kind of aggressive this entire series on their starting pitchers. They do like to throw strike one. But we got a good pitcher out of the game, made him work, and obviously closed grand slam was huge.
You notice the big difference, don't you?
Music.
Exactly.
Vibing.
You can barely hear Bomel today because music. For the first time in a week, music.
Right. And I'm sure that flight to Texas, it's not going to be a party on the flight, but there's going to be some chatter, maybe a card game or two.
Yeah, exactly.
I doubt they're going to be, that exuberant because yesterday was so bad, and today is like a kind of an exhale victory. Thank God we got that.
Look, I don't think there's going to be like streamers hanging from the roof, but I think that there'll be like that relaxes you. That would have been a hell of a flight. I bet their flight to Arizona sucked.
Yeah.
And this one, there's no party when you've won one of 7. But when it's the most recent one, you sort of get on the plane with that. I mean, that's all that we could do today. All you could do each day is win one.
Right.
And they did it today. So is the mood good? Yeah, I bet the mood is good.
No doubt. And the mood's better. And certainly the big factor for me is that you were able to hold on to third place in the division, because if you lose that one, Arizona jumps you. And I know it's all temporary, but
it's pretty early.
It's the optics of it. It is early of it. And you would have fallen 5 games below 500, and instead you win and you're only 3 games below 500. So it's more the mentality of avoiding the sweep, avoiding being 5 below, and the optics of losing to Arizona, a division rival.
Well, and I'd also say that the optics are always going to be bad as long as the L number is bigger than the W number, period. Even though, as it stands, and this is why the Giants are so lucky, right now, the third wild card leader has a losing record.
Of course. Which I hate.
The Cubs are 30-31.
Right.
And currently in the playoffs. And they're a half game behind of the second wild card team, the San Diego Padres, who are 500, 32-32.
Yeah.
There are a total of 4 baseball teams in the National League that have a winning record. 4.
There are 10 teams in the wild card race that are within 3.5 games of the wild card.
The Mets out here have given up their 3.5 out.
Exactly.
They've given up. They're ripping themselves. They're DFAing people when they don't even know.
Throwing gloves in the crowd.
Hucking gloves.
Yep.
Making fun of themselves.
Talking about trading their slugger.
Don't even know if a guy ripped the team or himself. They can't tell. They're like, let's DFA him just to be sure. I mean, a total hot mess. They're 2.5 games behind the Giants.
Right. And the Nationals have been mostly bad all year, and they're only 3 games back of the Chicago Cubs.
There's really only 2 teams that have declared themselves off the planet. It's the Rockies and the Marlins. Did you see my new TikTok?
I did. I saw it.
Which one?
The one where he's taking on and putting on his jacket over and over. And if I was Gabe Kapler's advisor, I would just say, you know what, Cap? If you really want to make headway in this world, male model, just drop this baseball stuff.
He is.
No, but he could just go be a model.
Yeah.
Invest all your time in your perfectly crafted and coiffed beard, your chiseled six-pack.
My man.
The dude he's dead gorgeous.
First of all, he did a whistle while you work TikTok yesterday.
Right.
Or the day before yesterday. Right. Like he's listening to music and then he's just like, and okay. And then someone got mad at him for this one. I didn't know there was a Marlin fan out there, but there's a Marlin fan. Did you know that?
Marlin man.
Yeah, there's Marlin man. He's a fan. And he's like, we're 21-40, and this is what our assistant general manager's doing. And Gabe is just getting ready for work, except for he is in a suit.
Yeah.
I mean, in a suit. And in a living room by his damn self, really into his suit.
Yep. It's a good-looking suit.
I don't want to psychoanalyze anyone. I don't know the man. But, like, when I look at Gabe's social media, it feels lonely to me. It feels lonely. Like, yeah, he feels lonely. He's just out there in rooms, like getting dressed and telling people to walk faster and Google Maps. Like, I mean, just what is happening? What are you doing? And it's fine. Like, I'm not up in anybody's business. If you want to just go get coffee and burgers in every city in America by yourself and, like, take pictures of it and get dressed, like, great. I wonder if he's happy. I wonder if Gabe's happy. I hope he's happy.
Yeah.
I do. I know nobody cares. I just,
I hope everybody's
for
happy.
Everybody.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
I mean, I don't know his mental state, but he seemed to have landed on his feet pretty well after his unceremonious mutual parting of ways with the Giants.
Let's get back to the current Giant manager, Bob Melvin, on watching the way Elliot Ramos is playing.
He's just so balanced. You know, every take, every swing, and he's just completely locked in. I mean, who walks 4 times, especially when you're hitting like he is, you want to swing. But, you know, they're deep counts. It's 3-2. He ends up taking the ball just off the plate. It's really cool to watch because he's such a good kid. And it's been, you know, kind of a hard road for him to get here, and he's taking full advantage of it.
So locked in, and it does take, listen, Elliot Ramos, I heard Flem this morning talking about there's one last piece of the puzzle for him, and it's his strikeout rate. He's just striking out too much. So he's doing a better job of laying off the bad pitch, but there's too much swing and miss in his game. For him to follow that comment and go out there and get 2 hits, including a home run, and then in 4 consecutive at-bats, work walks, that's great. That's subtle because a walk, that's not that exciting. You know what I mean? You'll pick up, you'll look at the stats of the game and you're like, oh, he went 2 for 2. That's not that big a deal. Now he kind of went 6 for 6. And to do that, as Bomel says, when he's swinging the bat the way he is, that's exciting. This is when I get excited about a young player. Forget the fact that he's young. He's succeeding.
Right.
He's helping you win games.
And like Bob said, you know, especially for a young player, when you're hitting well, your inclination is to go out there and keep swinging because you want to keep hitting because you're hitting so well. So to walk 4 times after his earlier hit and his home run shows a certain amount of confidence and maturity. And he's probably not feeling the pressure of oh boy, Slater's coming back, and it helps that that Matos got sent out so that Ramos feels at least somewhat secure. But, you got to figure he's going to be a guy who can stick and stay as long as he keeps getting on base.
888-957-9570. Let's hear from Robert in San Jose. Hey, Robert, what's going on? You're on with Willard and Dibs.
Hey, what's up, guys? Hey, I'm just tired of these veterans, specifically Jazz and Slater. Slater's been already at the plate almost 200 times. He's got a high 100-something batting average.
Hit me with your hold on, Robert. Robert, hit me with your stat one more time. He's got what?
167 points, a batting average.
But how many times?
177.
No, how many times did you say he's been to the plate this year?
It doesn't matter. You look at his lifelong.
It does matter, Robert.
Average.
Robert, it does matter. 43 at bats. Well, less than half of Luis Matos.
Slater sucks. Slater sucks.
Then what does Luis Matos do?
Jazz sucks.
Okay.
So I think it's time to my point is it's time to let the young guys play.
Yeah.
That's all I'm saying.
But my question to you, Robert, would be, do you care, and you can answer this however you want, do you care how this season ends?
Well, I think the young guys are doing a better job than the veterans. And I think, and again, I'm just playing the devil's advocate, right? We can go in the middle. We can leave those guys here. Just don't play them as much as the young guys. Play the young guys more and play the veterans less.
But Robert, do you notice that you're building a collective that, in my opinion, doesn't exist? It's like it's young guys or it's veterans. Why can't we go person by person here? Elliot Ramos is staying because he's playing well. Why does it have to be all young guys or all old guys?
There's always a mix, right? What my point is, let the young guys play more than the old. These veterans aren't producing.
Well, I just think, and thank you, Robert. I think you're building a scenario that's impossible to exist. You can't have them all on your roster. You want to keep the veterans, but play the young ones more. How many roster spots do you have? That was the issue today. Austin Slater's ready to go. Are you excited about it? No. Who the hell's going to be excited about that? He hasn't played well. He has in his career 738 OPS, 254 career hitter. Just last year, hit 270 for a full season of the big leagues.
Another piece of it is, what do you do with these guys? And you mentioned it, right. Roster spots. You don't have a ton of roster spots for everybody. So if you do decide to keep Matos up, then what do you do about Slater? You can't just let him continue to toil in the minors. You have to come up and see if he's going to be able to produce. And he doesn't have options. And Yaz doesn't have options. So if you do want to get off of Yaz, and I don't know if you do, because he's one of your few power threats in that lineup, and the ball he hit last night, I know you were down 8-2, but that was a big fly, big 3-run piece to right field. He's one of the few guys in your lineup who is a threat to hit it over the fence.
Well, and by the way, who's playing center field?
Right.
Yaz and Slater, Fitzgerald, and Matos are the only ones who can play center field. So all I'm saying, this is my whole point today. Like, it almost feels like the conversations that are much more important that we have about discrimination. And here's what I mean by that. Like, if a young guy is not performing and an older guy is not performing, are you just going to slant toward young guy just because he's young guy? I would much rather argue which one is more likely to play good professional baseball. Austin Slater has already shown for 7 years that he's a big leaguer. Luis Matos showed it for 2 weeks and then showed maybe that he's not ready. So, again, my only thing as we go through the whole play the kids deal is if they are outperforming veterans, they stay. If they're not, I have no interest. It doesn't mean you're giving up on Luis Matos. It just means not today.
Well, he's got options and Slater doesn't. So for me, the Slater question is much more of an easy question, and that is, all right, Austin, show us that you can be the player that you've been in the past. And he gets the chance now. He's healthy. He gets the chance to show that. It doesn't mean he gets a series or a week, and he might get more than a month, but it might be a month or 6 weeks, and you get to a point, if he's continuing to hit 140 without any power, and he's a guy who is not looking like the player that he used to be. And you're right, he's a career 254. Last year he did fairly well. OPS is 748. Good, solid player. Serviceable.
Yep.
Serviceable enough to be out there. And, he didn't play a ton. He's been injured. He's been up and down. But if he comes back now and shows himself to not be the player he used to be, well, then you can make a decision because he doesn't have options. And then you can decide at that point that you're going to move off of Austin Slater, but he's earned the right to go out there, in my opinion, and show you what he can be when healthy. And that's what he's going to get now. He'll probably play some against righties too, because you don't have a lot of other options out there.
Going into today, Luis Matos had more than twice as many at-bats this year as Austin Slater.
Yeah.
But everyone wants to make a decision on Austin Slater. Oh, we've seen enough. But Luis Matos has twice as many at-bats. And you're like, but let's see it. And I get it. He's a young player. We don't. And by the way,
he's done more than twice as well as Austin Slater this year.
All within 2 weeks.
Right. Even
all within 2 weeks.
8 games, even
right.
A shorter sample than that.
I
went off.
I would. But then for 2.5 weeks, he had as many as Austin Slater has had for the whole year. Did the exact same junk.
Right.
And now it's a problem. Luis Matos projects to potentially be a much more influential big league baseball player than Austin Slater. He's a major prospect and has been for some time for the Giants. I am not selling his stock. It is simply my opinion that he has shown, ever since getting named National League Player of the Week and the league getting some more video on what he was doing, reacting to it, he has not reacted well. That says to me, I'm not ready. I'm not ready.
And he's 22 and a half.
Which is so totally fine.
Right.
It's totally fine. I'm not selling my stock.
Exactly.
And
I don't think your stock even went down that much over the last couple of weeks. Austin Slater's 31 and a half. And so he is this player. Now, is it over for Austin Slater? Is he not going to be the player that he used to be anymore based on age and declining ability? Let's find out. And the only way to find out is by playing Austin Slater, because Luis Matos is 22 and a half and his future is still very much in front of him, and he can go down and work on the holes in his swing and work on the adjustments that they made to him for 3, 4, 7, 9 weeks, whatever it is, and he'll come back, and you know what, Mark? You know what he'll still be? A young prospect.
He'll still be 22.
He'll still be 22, and his career will still be in front of him, and at that point, you'll have an answer on Austin Slater.
I mean, it's kind of a recurring issue that we've been talking about a lot recently. You know, the Brandon Ayuk thing, too. Like, you don't have to make decisions until you have to make decisions.
Right.
So that's another piece to this that I think is very important. We're not talking about an equal playing field. Luis Matos has options, Austin Slater doesn't. You want to kick the can down the road, you send Matos down. You don't lose anything. You can call him right back up tomorrow if you want. You get rid of Austin Slater, that's a wrap.
Yeah.
And now Matos is here for the rest of the year, potentially also hitting 140. This is nothing for you.
And then what? If he hits 140 for 3 more weeks, then what do you do? So now you want to move Matos down, but you don't have Austin Slater, who's a veteran who can at least hold it down while you're trying to figure out what to do.
Dean in San Ramon. Hi, Dean. What's going on?
Hi, I just wanted to talk about the Giants. I'm mostly an A's fan, but I was watching the game today, and I noticed that, I feel like most of the players are dealing with the pressure because the fans and the manager are putting on them. Like, it's a play or not be played league. If you can't perform, you can't play. And if a player can't play, I think they just got to be sent down to the minor leagues.
Correct, Dean. Okay, so are you in support of the move? Is that what you're saying?
Yes, I think I'm in support of the move.
I mean, it's interesting that you mentioned you're an A's fan because that's the organization, and I'm forgetting the kid's name, but who was the kid who was performing really well at the beginning of the year?
Esty Ruiz.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Esty Ruiz, and they sent him down. So,
yeah,
like that's an offense. If they sent Matos down and he was still hitting 290,
yep.
My gosh, we'd march. We'd march.
Yeah, but that wasn't the case. He started to really struggle, and I mentioned it before, 14 games, he was hitting 153. He was 9 for 59 with 9 singles, 3 runs batted in over the course of 14 games, and that was it. You need to take a break, and we need to send you down and have you work on what you're struggling with.
Luis Matos and Austin Slater this year have both posted negative WARs, below replacement level baseball. As we mentioned, this is Austin Slater's 7th year with the Giants. Dibs, do you know how many negative WAR seasons Austin Slater has posted prior to his 43 at-bats this year?
Probably 0, would be my guess.
That is a correct answer.
Yeah.
So, I know he doesn't excite me either. I'm not over here going, yes, Slater's back. They're going to go to win streak now. That's not what I don't think that's what anybody is saying. Who the hell would say that? But I am in support of what they did today because these things aren't equal. There are tiebreakers. And if you want to go by WAR, they do have almost the exact same negative WAR. So what's the tiebreaker? The tiebreaker is 2 things.
It's options.
One's got options, one doesn't. And one's got a resume, and one doesn't. So I'm keeping Matos every time if the season's already over. But if you're playing for something and you're desperate and it's urgent, the answer is obviously Austin Slater.
Well, I also think that the big piece of it is information, and you need to get information on Austin Slater.
Totally.
You need to figure out what he is and what he's going to be because he has been bad when healthy this year. He's not been a player that you want to play, but you have to see if it was due to the injury or if it's due to the fact that maybe he's just losing it at 31.5. And if that's the case, well, then you can make that decision. You can then either try to trade him before the deadline, you can DFA him, you can do whatever you need to do after you figure out that Austin Slater's not the guy, but you might see Austin Slater healthy and realize, okay, he can be a 250 hitter still. He can be a good, solid defensive player, which is what he is. He can be a piece for a team that fights for a wild card, and if that's the case, you have to be able to see it at the major league level to make that determination.